this lady a little bit as well for what she's doing in her community. And also, just a question to all of us. What are we doing for the poor, especially during this season? And how do we accommodate the needs of those less fortunate than us that don't have a sandwich, a meal, something that we take for granted from time to time and not look at the disadvantage. But somebody in studio that's very special, and quickly I just want to set up, so you just need to get that mic closer to you and just speak into the mic there. So I'm going to introduce you to Hafsa Wahi. I think I said that right. And welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Sy kom van ver af. Sy kom van ver af om die Here te dien. So you literally drove from Strand to be here. So that's pretty far. That's pretty far, but good to have you.
I'm humbled and grateful to have this opportunity also to share with your the family of CCFm.
So if you know her, you can send us some shout outs to our WhatsApp and Telegram line. That is 0617981075. Show us some love on there, and then you can also SMS 40503 at a cost of £1. Free SMSs do not apply, unfortunately, and you can also email me studio@ccfm.org.za. And let me quickly, just before I get to this one from Genevieve Matabata, says, please wish my godchild Tahila van der Rede a blessed 5th birthday. Lots of love from Genevieve. Thank you for that, Genevieve. So let's get into our conversation. And so before we get to what you do or what you're doing for your community, and I'll ask you if you want to share a bit of your testimony with regards to your relationship with Christ. Maybe you want to do that. Tell people about who you are and your relationship.
Okay, my name is Hafsa Wahi. I am made by God. I basically see myself the way God sees me. I would just like to share with you a little bit on where I'm coming from and how I grew up. I was actually born in Namibia, and at the age of 1 year old, my mother she gave me to an uncle to raise. So I didn't grow up with my parents. I didn't grow up with my mother on my side and with my father on my side, but I had my aunt and my uncle who raised me up. And you can say around about the age of 5 years old, I got molested, and when I came into high school again, I got molested again. On primary school, I got molested again for a second time. So basically, when I reached my stage, when I was in my teenage stage, I was so confused. I was filled with bitterness. I was filled with anger. I just had a lot of emotions and stuff, and I couldn't understand why is this stuff happening to me. Why am I going through this stuff? I didn't understand myself, basically. So I basically went out into the streets. I got involved with different wrong friends, wrong crews. Even on school, I was like seen as a problem child, and I've made a lot of bad choices, and I actually my circumstances pushed me into a relationship, and I got involved with one of the biggest drug dealers in Strand. I went into a relationship with him because I was looking for that comfort, I was looking for that security, I was looking for love, I was looking for all of this stuff at the wrong places. And around about, I have a son, I'm a mother also, I have a son, when Godwin Jansen, when he turned 3 years old, I've reached that point in my life where I had to make a choice in my life. Am I gonna set this foundation for my son, or am I gonna try to be a better parent to him? So I walked out of the relationship of his father and me. But I actually had my first love relationship disappointment that time. So it was very difficult for me also. So I came to the Lord when my son was 3 years old. He's actually now 10 years old. But I didn't fully surrender myself. I was in church, I was worshiping, I was singing in the worship team, I was in the youth, I was so active in church, but before I would go to the altar, then I would still smoke a cigarette. When I'm done, then I would go into the clubs. I was serving God the way I think I'm supposed to serve God. And and then I also came to a point where I had to make a choice again that I cannot go on like that. So I backslide. And that backslide, it made me more worse. And I became more bitterness. I had more bitterness in me, and I couldn't really overcome my past, even with my mother coming to visit me. And I would usually go to Namibia because my mom, she was born in Strand, but then she went to Namibia. So I would always go to Namibia. I would go look for my mother. I would go search for my father. And when I would get there by them in Namibia, then I would always find them in a situation where it's not nice. And all of this stuff and emotions, it had me so that I just lost myself. And I've came to a point in my life where I became very sick actually, and I landed up in hospital. Doctors were speaking negative over my life. I had 2 big operations, and on that hospital bed where I was laying there, and never ever before in my life I had the boldness to speak about this like I can speak now, or I can talk now about it. But never in my life I could have told people that I know how it feels when you're on that point where you're actually busy dying. I literally felt how my spirit was busy leaving my body, and that scared me. All that I can remember on that hospital bed was basically, it was dark, and I called out on the only name that I know. I called out on Jesus, and I asked him to forgive me for all my unrighteousness. I plead by Jesus to save my soul. And I've closed the covenant with God there on that hospital bed. I told him, Lord, if you give me one more chance, I'm going to make your name big. I'm going to tell people you love God is real. So I want to encourage somebody out there today. If you probably think that, no, God isn't real. I used to live my life. If I'm going to die one day, I'm going to die. I was thinking at the back of my mind, maybe there's a heaven, maybe there's a hell. But I have a message, especially for our youth. There's life after death. On that hospital bed, I was always thinking, and I was always wondering, when people are telling the testimonies, then they would always say, and then I heard the voice of the Lord. So I always had that wondering in my head. I wonder how does the voice of the Lord, how does it sound? But on that bed, when I called out to Jesus, for the first time, I heard the voice of the Lord. The Lord told me, I am the beginning and I am the end. And I am the Alpha and I am the Omega. And on that bed, I felt this power, I felt this glory, I felt the Holy Ghost fire. I felt that was like only a glimpse of his love. And ever since that day, I can only stand and testify about what God did for me, because I believe if God can do it for me, he can do it for the next person also. There was a lot of demons that I had to face in my life, from my mother's womb, my father rejecting me, spirit of rejection, spirit of abuse, spirit of lust. All of those demons were demons inside of me that I had to deal with. Anger. When I see my mother coming in by the door, it's emotions coming up. I didn't understand. But at the end of the day, God healed me. He touched me. I've had an encounter with God. And today I'm so grateful if I can encourage a next person. That's where power of resurrection also comes in. Because after that, God, through that power of resurrection, there's life after death. And we mustn't just live life just to live life, but we must try to live life in God's purpose.
So we're going to get to power of resurrection and why you're here. So, ladies and gentlemen, this wasn't part of the plan. It was this testimony wasn't part of why she's here, but we flow with that. And what a powerful, powerful testimony of how the redeeming power of God and how He can resurrect you from seemingly dead situations and bring it to life and be a fantastic testimony. So I want to get to that, and I want to first go to that name, Hafsa Wahi.
It's my grandma's name, but my grandma was Muslim, and then she actually turned to Christianity. So when I was born, my mother just gave me my grandma's name, but I wasn't born Muslim.
Okay, I'm with you. I just wanted to clear that up a little bit, but let's get to the reason why you're actually here, and I understand now that name, the Power of Resurrection now. And so you've got your own organization called Power of Resurrection. But I want to get to your story, man, and how you've become a big part of your community in helping to feed especially the underprivileged, the less privileged. Tell us the story. You sent me a clip of how this thing started, but I think you should tell the story to the people.
Okay, basically in Strand where I live, and in the area where we were also doing all of the stuff when I was still in the world. Basically in that area, I've noticed that kids are standing on the corner of the streets asking people for money and for something to eat. While they know the threats nowadays, anything can happen to them. And for me, it's children from 3 years old upwards. And my thing was just, what if anything can happen to their children? So I actually started giving them simple peanut butter and jam bread, and afterwards then they would come and knock, and I would say, wow, yes, 5 more and 6 more. And later on I started giving them Bible study once a week also. And afterwards we also started a dance group. So Power of Resurrection is also a dance group. So, and then we also give them like I'm also a student at Film School Africa. So through Film School Africa I can also give them jungle arts classes. So also once in the week, then I would give kids from 5 to 9 years old jungle arts class where we would play with the paint and do some art. And the bigger ones, they go for photography class from 9 to 15 years old. And at the end of the day, when they reach their stage in their life where they become 17 or 18 years old, they can use that skill to create themselves a personal income also. So, yeah.
so when did this start, Hafsa? What year did you start with? Just
you
start
can say
thinking?
around about 3 years ago.
Sure.
Power of Resurrection is 3 years old.
So you never planned that, eh? It was never in the...
It wasn't like an...
Yeah, I want to start something like that. It was just like came knocking on your door.
They just came.
And from there it just grew.
Yeah, it just grew.
And so in 3 years, what are some of the changes that you've seen with those 2 kiddies and 3, 4, 5, 6, and so where are you at now?
They actually, I think it's around about 6 of them. They graduated 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
So in the jungle arts class. So there's a lot of changes. You know, Marco, what is the most amazing part for me of this journey is the fact that these children, God gives me the opportunity to create building a relationship with the parents also. So next year I'm planning on partnering with Masin Sadane, where I can send the parents for training so that they can also go into a job, because at the end of the day there is still a problem. You can feed their child, you can give their child a skill, but their child is still a child. It's not the child's responsibility to put something on the table. It starts by the big ones, by the adults, by the leaders in the house. So that is actually my most highest point, is the fact that I can actually see change in the parents also, because I didn't even expect that also. because some of the parents would come to me and tell me, can we also come for Bible study? Can we also? So yeah, there is a lot of change that is happening in their lives.
So for me, that's so amazing that if you think about it, if you didn't heed the call, if you were not obedient to say, okay, so I see a need, and trying to meet that need, and that's from yourself. That wasn't from companies or anybody helping you. You just decided, God, I'm living for you, and I see a need around me. I'm going to meet that, and you see growth around you, and how you're changing a community one child at a time. And also the parents, and that's amazing. I always say when you have the kids, you start to get to the parents, you've got a gateway into that. And so what are some of the other plans that you have besides what you now just mentioned? How big do you want to take this thing, or are you just relying on God to show you where to go?
Actually, I am relying on God to show me, because He started this thing out in the beginning. I didn't even know it's going to grow so big.
Yeah.
So I've partnered also already with Heisenmark. They are property agent. So every year for the 4 winter months, they're going to do a food drive for me, so that the kids are sorted out in the winter, at least for porridge and cooked meal besides bread, and only bread. So for in the future, it's going to be a yearly thing where Heisenmark is going to do the food drive with Power of Ressurection.
Yeah.
And then I've also partnered with Team Honda, Western Cape. It's a Honda club. We like for the 4 winter months, we would go out into different communities where we would feed around about 200 and 400 kids in a community. We just go out, park out the cars, have car shows, have face painting, have a few guest speakers, and just let the kids have fun. So I'm thinking of doing that on a regular basis with the companies and the organizations that is partnering with me.
I want to get to a couple of messages, but I want to ask you this question. So where do you do all of this?
I'm doing it in Strand. I'm now currently, I don't have my own center, but I trust God for one day to have my own center.
Yeah.
The Film School Africa. I'm a student by them, so they are actually, I'm using their community school.
Okay, so at least you have the premises. We're trusting God for your own premises with you. I think your vision is big enough for that to happen. I think that God can come through for you. So I want to read you a couple of messages from some people. Says from Christeline Hofstander says, what a great inspiration. May God bless you mightily. And then Chantal Gordon Lowe says, you're an amazing girl from Strand. I love that. And then Wilma Jacob says, wow, evidence that you have to avail yourself and God will use you mightily, and there is the evidence of that. And simply it's been fantastic having you in the studio, and for me, your testimony for me was just the highlight. I didn't expect that. We didn't talk about that when we set it up, but I want to say thank you for your obedience, and you had to go through quite an experience for you to be where you are now. And I want to ask you with regards to your past. And do you feel safe in your area, that since you've broken off from that particular relationship in the past, and now that you're working in a community, does that still impact you, or are you totally safe where you are?
Yes, I am safe.
That's good.
I'm actually safe. I was actually, you can say around about a year ago from now. The community himself isn't that safe. Around about a year ago, my brother got shot 10 times just around the corner, basically where I live. I'm like in the community, but I love the community also. So and you can say 3 weeks after that, the house where I was renting, my landlord, he was in a wheelchair, he also passed away. And the next day my father passed away. That was all about a year ago. So at the end of the day, for me to be there in the community, I think God has placed me there also to see what is going on, because around about a year ago, after my father also passed away, all of that stuff happened in 6 weeks time, and then my manager also told me where I was working, he's gonna sell the business, and I'm like, I'm just losing all of the people around me now. I'm losing my job also. But I think that was a time when God told me, now it's time for you to spend a little bit more time in look after your neighbor also in your community. So for me, where I walk and where I move, a lot of people will tell me, are you mad? They don't want to walk there, or they don't want to drive there, but that place is actually part of me. The most amazing part of it is actually the people that we used to sell drugs to. That is the people's children.
Yeah.
So God is giving me a second chance.
It's truly
so
the
I'm
power
not,
of resurrection.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
amazing. I simply just love your testimony, and I love your attitude. And it's amazing what God can do. And for me, it was worth waiting for you. She came all the way from Stand, in some traffic and stuff. But I'm so thankful that you came, and I'm so thankful that you could tell your story, and also about what you're doing and what God is doing through you in your community. And for me, that is such a great inspiration, especially during this time when we may be looking at ourselves and not looking around us, how we can be a blessing. And I want to say thank you to you for being such an awesome blessing to your community. But also want to allow you the opportunity to give your contact details to the people and how they can get in touch with you if they want to do anything with regards to you. They can also just contact you in that manner.
Okay. My contact number is 079 406 8722. My email address is powerofresurrection@gmail.com.
So
And
yeah, so just give that. Did you get the phone number?
yeah,
You just give that number again.
079 406 8722.
Awesome. I simply enjoyed having you here.
It
And
was nice. It was awesome. I'm actually humbled. I'm grateful. I feel so small. I feel so small. I'm actually also busy writing a book. The book's name is Surviving the Shift. The book handles a little bit more about how I overcame my challenges.
Yeah.
It goes into detail.
Love that. And so when you have it, you must come see me. We do your book review. So Hafsa, fantastic having you in the studio. I really
Thank you.
enjoyed that.
I'm honored and I'm humbled. Really. I want to thank you also, and to everybody who tuned in. I trust and I believe also that everybody who listened, they were blessed today.
So I believe they were, and just love the humility, and trust that God will just take you from glory to glory, and your dynamic shift and your heart's desires be met. With that, I need to get into a break, and we'll head into the news after that. Your worship quadruple play, the Grace one, that's waiting for you just after the 2 p.m. news. With that, I'm going to give you some news of the Football Fives that's taking place this Saturday.
Teams who have registered for Saturday.